Hello, everybody! Today we are going to do something a little teeny different. So I was going through the closets of my trailer and I found a whole bunch of my uncle's stuff. Now my uncle currently lives in Japan and we messaged him about his stuff and he went, I don't want my stuff anymore, you can have it. So I got to sort through it and most of it was just junk, at least junk to me, just memoirs, papers, I don't know, stuff I might give to him if he ever decides to come back. Or just throw away if he ever never makes it back. But he does have a couple collectibles and a set of vintage Star Wars figures. Or as a certain character in Star Wars goes, So yeah, we have a set of Star Wars characters back from when they were first made, back in the 70s, and some in the early 80s. Yeah, and these are quite hard to find. Some of them are even complete. Unfortunately, none of them are unopened. If I found some unopened original Star Wars figures, I wouldn't be making videos anymore. I'd be sipping coladas in the Caribbean in through a pure diamond goblet. That's what I would be doing if I ever found a whole bunch of unopened Star Wars figures from the 70s. So, I figure before I sell these for a good profit, I shall go through them and show you exactly how different 1970s Star Wars figures were from, well, any other line, really. Actually, before we start, here are some other figures that I have of his. Bill and Ted! Yes, these are the Jam Session Bill and Ted, from what I understand. They're all dressed up. I don't remember them dressing up in the movies, in the original movie, actually in any movie, but here they are in their suits. Seriously, I'm trying to remember if they were ever in a suit in the movies. Were they in a suit at the end of the first movie? I don't remember, nor do I really care. I'm Bill S. Preston, Esquire, and I'm Ted Theodore Logan. Apparently Keanu Reeves sounds like Ronald Reagan now. Yeah, they're supposed to rock out. Unfortunately, I don't have the guitars for these. These are surprisingly some of his toys that didn't come with all the accessories. And you can tell they're old and used. They kind of bobble their heads now. Yeah, we had a Bill and Ted movie recently come out, and it was... I mean, I can't find anything horrible about it, but I can't find anything stand out about it either. It was just kind of there, it was what the other Bill and Ted movies weren't. It was completely forgettable. It just felt like a reunion movie. It just felt like everybody wanted to make one last movie, so they got the gang together, they threw together a script, and they just went, okay, here's the movie, just what Bill and Ted one last time. And that's it. That's the entire plot. Bill and Ted aren't even really in most of it. They just kind of go do their own thing, go find a song, and they just go do time stuff while their daughters are the ones who actually try to move the plot along, and then at the end, well, I don't want to give anything away, but they somehow realize that they were both right, and they both worked towards the perfect song or something like that. And Alex Winter, that's his name, right? Alex Winter, he returning as Bill S. Preston. Yeah, that was perfect. He perfectly recreated his performance from the first two movies, but Keanu Reeves just felt too out of practice. He's been doing action movies for the last few decades, so to get him to go back to being a surfer teenager dude type of guy, he just felt completely lost, completely out of character. Anyway, let's just have him air guitar. That's something they do in the movies, and I have no idea what these are. They don't do anything. Party on, all ye members of the human race! That's what they say, right? All right, go sit over there. Oh, and one more thing, actually. I found, among his possessions, I also found an AC/DC Fly on the Wall tour, 1985. Yes, a vintage shirt from an AC/DC tour. And it's original, and it has practically no marks, and practically unworn, and this is probably the most valuable thing out of his stuff. I know for a fact he's not going to watch this video, so I feel comfortable with saying how much I'm going to be making off of his stuff. All right, now on to the vintage stuff with Jeff Starmelker. Yes, that's his name, right? Yep. Okay, and I can definitely tell that this is a figure, an original Star Wars figure from the 70s, and it was made when they had absolutely no idea what they were doing and didn't have the modern molding techniques of today. Yeah, I don't recall Luke Skywalker's hair being quite that. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of how he looks in the Star Wars Holiday Special, where he unfortunately had a car crash and he had to wear a wig for that one, and it didn't look like it was his natural hair. This doesn't look like his natural head. Look at that. Look at how ballooned it is compared to the rest of his body. I mean, the rest of his body, yeah, given the time period, is actually quite good. It's textured. It looks like fabric. It's not fabric, obviously, but it looks detailed enough. And then we even have a belt, not a belt molded into the figure, and whatever that is, just a little pouch. So yeah, design-wise, he's actually not bad. And then we get to the legs. Yeah, apparently the fabric has molded into his legs and has sliced off his member down there, and he... I don't know. Does not look right in the slightest. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't... Well, maybe the technique wasn't quite there, but I don't know why they didn't just give him legs underneath the fabric. I don't know. I don't know, but let's see. Small mark there. Definite molding lines, again, for a sign of the times. The other hand cannot hold anything. This is before they put a lot of emphasis on accessories for toys, at least accessories they can hold. And the head looks rubber. It is not rubber. It can also barely turn. In fact, I'm worried that if I turn it too much, it's going to snap off, so I better not do that. I want to go to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters. That's definitely what that expression says. Now, you may have noticed this thing in his hand. Yes, this is a lightsaber. This is one of the very first toy lightsabers. How does it work? Well, you got a little knob on the back of the arm, and you push it up. Zero, 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 zero. Yes. I don't know what the tip of it is. Maybe he's holding a yellow stick of dynamite. I don't have a follow-up to that, but yeah, if his lightsaber comes out of his arm and he can only hold it, but if he can only use it by moving his arm up and down, well, then maybe the life of the Jedi isn't for him. In fact, how does this even work? Looks like he's about to knight something. I dub thee, Sir... Oh, God! Oh, God! I dub thee, Sir Drummer from Def Leppard. Yes, well, we will go with that joke, yes. So, actually, the add-ons are quite rare, from what I understand. These little lightsaber things, they make reproductions, and they're quite hard to come by, from what I understand. I actually found a vintage Star Wars... Once upon a time, I found a bag full of vintage G.I. Joe figures, and it had a vintage Star Wars figure in there. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, somebody with a lightsaber. But it didn't have the lightsaber, but the thing did come out, so I could pop it back in. So, all right. So you can go sit over there and think about sand. I know that's not what people associate you with, but hey, you must have gotten something from your dad. Next up, another Luke Skywalker, except he's dressed up to go blow up the Death Star. Yeah, I didn't even know this was Luke at first because he has none of that blondie Ken hair, but I thought this was his hair, but no, I guess it's the helmet visor. Also a completely different facial expression. He looks like, I don't know, just looks like a standard pilot. I would never have guessed that this was Luke. He looks like... Nope, I can't place any of the other pilots. So if I say he looks like such and such and who's and what's and what's, then you're gonna say no, he looks nothing like that because the guy you're referring to is fat or an alien or a woman or I don't know. Anyway, once again, quite good molding for the 70s. The paint's quite a bit faded, but that's to be expected of these toys, especially these are quite well kept. I'm surprised. My uncle had these when he was just a little kid, just maybe 10 years old, and these are quite pristine given the time and the use. Not a huge fan of the molding job on the control panel here. It looks homemade. It looks like a parent made this for their kid for Halloween, which, the 80s, parents still did that. Do parents still do that? I don't know. Halloween is kind of falling out of favor in general, and if a kid wants a costume, they just go buy it because you have it. eBay has everything by this point. Parents don't have to put their sewing skills. I don't think parents can even sew nowadays. If you can sew, that's great, but it's of less use now as it was back then. That's what I'm trying to say. And here he has a gun. And this is the only accessory he came with. Figures afterwards came with practically every accessory you could think of. They had those little flip pictures, these then and now pictures, and they had those little comlink things. You fed them into the comm system and they could talk. And then they have these force power things that you put on your wrist and you hold them close to the toy and the toy talks, very similar to the comlink. At least I believe that's how it goes. But no, back in the 70s, life was simple. You got the figure and you got a gun. It's not even a unique gun. We'll see this mold on quite a bunch of the other figures as well. It's Han Solo's gun. Yep, so Luke has missed the attack on the Death Star, and he's dyed his hair black, and he's so angry he crunched up his control panel on the front. He killed off Han Solo and is using his gun to shoot all the rest of the rebellion. That was the original script treatment before somebody looked at George Lucas's scripts and goes, "What the hell are you thinking, dude?" Unfortunately, that's the last time anyone ever did. Okay, you go sit over there and think about what you did. Also, actually, I want to say one more thing. The legs are much better molded. I don't know why these look more like legs and these look like squares. I don't know. All right, you go grab your gun right here and you go sit over there and think about how blowing up the Death Star has affected the gravitational pull of the planets around it. Anyway, speaking of Han Solo, here he is. Looking, are we sure this isn't Henrietta Solo, huh? The hair is much longer than in the movie. It's much more parted, and his lips are a lot more pursed. Looks more like an 18th century Aristocat than a hardened bounty hunter. Of course, like I say, back then they did what they could, and nowadays you can get figures that have the face of Harrison Ford down to the smallest detail, but here they just, it might just be left over from another figure they had on hand. Nobody figured that Star Wars was going to be such a big hit, so the manufacturers probably just cut corners wherever they could. I'm hoping that these aren't covered in toxic paint. I'll probably have to wash my hands after this video. Let's see, the jacket. Once again, jacket is very well molded. The shirt is a little, the paint's coming off. They even molded a neckline. Actually, that's quite good for the time. And belt buckle, and I think we'll stop with that joke. And the legs look like legs. Legs are very long, very panted, and the pockets move along with the rest of the legs. Quite sort of like the Luke Skywalker thing back there, but not as noticeable, not as bad. Hey, they even did the red lines on the pants. That's quite nice. quite nice. And then little pegs on the feet that everyone has that were apparently used for other accessories. And then, like I said, yeah, that's the same gun. That's same gun as the pilot there. Then again, who doesn't want Han Solo's gun? In fact, it's very... Honestly, I don't know. Do they have guns that are actually shaped like Han Solo's gun that are actually used for practical use? This does look like an interesting way, a good gun to have on hand in general. I don't know, just a little scope, a little ammo case, it looks like an old German Luger, I guess, with the scope built onto it, but it does look like a practical gun. I mean, maybe not a practical modern gun, but something that could be used for combat, and you could use it reliably. All right, go sit over there and brag to the others how you did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, which the Solo movie, which everybody seems to hate, but I thought was quite good. It actually did show how he did it. It wasn't lying. It was actually shown how that statement was true. That was quite good. That was probably the best part of that movie. Too bad the movie bombed, and now we're not going to see any more Solo stuff. Probably not going to see any more theatrical Star Wars Solo story, like spin-off stories in general. Oh well. Hello, I am C-3PO, human-cyborg relations. That was a horrible C-3PO voice, I apologize. But I think C-3PO here is the least changed of the figures, of Star Wars figures. I remember I had a C-3PO figure growing up as well from the 90s, and it basically looked like this. The area around the waist, you could see wires and such, and the legs could come off, but I'm not going to try that with this figure. But besides that, it just looks like C-3PO. It looks perfect. It looks like something that could be molded for any year, any incarnation of the Star Wars series, and it would fit in with the aesthetic. A little nub on the back. I'm wondering if is that metal? Is that metal? Can't even tell. I think it's metal. I think it's something holding the figure together. Very nice sculpted ass. That's very nice to give C-3PO. I don't see a silver leg, though. Of course, half the time I don't even notice that C-3PO has a silver leg. You always see it in pictures and such, and I think it's in the movie, but half of the time you don't even notice. I didn't even notice until like years and years and years after I saw the first few movies. And then I saw a picture and I was going, well, what? C-3PO doesn't have a silver leg, but I checked the movies, he does. And in the newer movies, he has a red arm. I'd love to know the story behind that. There's probably a story behind that. It's probably in one of the dozens and dozens of expanded universe novels. But yeah, quite good, quite timeless, quite interesting. Okay, go sit over there and think about how Anthony Daniels can't get away from playing you. Though he was in that animated Lord of the Rings movie from around the time Star Wars was released. And, he played a Wookiee in that Solo movie. I bet you didn't know that. I didn't know that either until I checked the credits. And you can't have C-3PO without R2-D2. I had to go in and check if there was something missing off this figure, but nope, this is a complete vintage R2-D2 figure. He's missing a section down here. I thought that that's something plugged in down here, but, well, maybe it does, and I've just been looking at the wrong pictures, but from what I could tell, this is how the figure's laid out. This is, he doesn't have a third leg. That sounded dirtier than I meant it to, but... So now R2-D2's stuck. R2-D2 stuck wobbling. Which he does in the movie, so that's sticking to detail, I guess. They didn't bother with any details, so the body is basically just one big sticker, which is okay. It's still on here. Like I say, my uncle took really good care of his toys here. I don't think a lot of figures still have the sticker on. And the face, yeah, I couldn't tell if this was the front of the face or not, but I guess it is. I guess it is because of the little blue and little red circles, but it's very hard to tell. This doesn't have the best molding job out of the figures, I think, which you'd think would be easy. He's basically just a dome on a trash can. You'd think that his molding would be easy, but nope, he's This looks like they started and then they stopped. Legs are okay though. Little pegs, no wheels. Yep, so to this R2-D2 I say... Bet you didn't know that, but he know exactly what I said, and I'm hoping he doesn't kill me in my sleep now. A toy review this is. Master Yoda! It must be in all toy reviews, he must. Yes, this is a little Yoda figure, and of the figures, this is probably the rarest, because this is complete. He has his little walking stick, he has a little snake, and he has his little belt here, and little robe. So yes, of the figures, this is quite pricey. And Yoda apparently knows it, because, yeah, just look at that face. He's... Yoda be pimpin', he is. No, pimpin' Yoda he is. I'm something like that. Yep, he's got his walking stick to smack down all the... Okay, I'm gonna stop this joke before I start saying things I'm gonna regret. Once again, the figure can only hold stuff in one hand. The other hand is basically just molded shut. And I don't know what's about the snake. Is there a snake in the show? No, in the movies? They don't really have conventional animals in the movies, so you'd think that the snake would be like... It would have horns or two heads or something like that. But no, this just looks like a regular toy thing recycled from some other set, which they probably did. You know, I say the 70s, but even today that's a thing. You know, when they made the Ewok playset back in the 80s, a couple of years later they recycled it. They just gave it a splash of paint and said that it was a Robin Hood playset. No, seriously, look that up. But yeah, this is a very smug Yoda, quite obviously on something, and he's glaring at me very menacingly, so I think I'm going to stop talking about him. Be styling, this Yoda is! Alright. And next we have Obi-Wan Kintobar. That's his name, right? Yeah, of course it is. And we see especially here why these figures are in such good condition, because these figures originally came with this very plasticky tablecloth capes for those who had capes. And of course, kids back then, they just ripped the capes right off while they were playing with them. But these still have the capes. Yeah, and they're still in, well, okay, there's some markings there, of course. Can I get a better view of that? Yeah. But they're not good. They're not bad. It's still here. It's still intact. That makes this a very, very hard to find collector's item, from what I understand. So in terms of facial, yeah, that's actually the best molded face we've seen so far. It could look like Alec Guinness or his brother, Mark. Yes, Mark Guinness. I don't know if he actually had a brother. But yeah, they much better job on the paint, much better. They actually molded the beard, gave some arched eyes, arched eyebrows, and some deep eye sockets, and a nose. Well, the others had noses too, but I can tell that this guy had a nose. Not bad, not bad. I don't want to mess with this one too much. I don't want to risk ruining the cape. But wow, if you thought that the Luke Skywalker one was very solidly molded, like the wear was molded straight to his legs, then I think you've got the picture by now. And yep, he has a lightsaber, a blue lightsaber. This should belong to Luke, from what I understand. But no, Luke has a yellow lightsaber. Does anyone have a yellow lightsaber in the show? No, in the movies? Movies or show, I guess. Just anyone, anywhere, any Jedi, any Sith. Well, Sith wouldn't have one. I don't know. I don't know why they molded them blue, and well, like I say, they probably weren't given that much detail to go on. They probably just saw a picture of each of the characters and were given 2 weeks or something to come up with designs and mold them and all that sort of stuff. So they cut corners wherever they could. Yeah, could you imagine him and Darth Vader battling like... Actually, I have a Darth Vader, don't I? So we'll have to get to that. Wait a minute. He's the next figure, isn't he? Yes! Once again, this is actually very, very modern. Yeah, very timeless. That's what I'm trying to say. And once again, he has his cape. That's awesome. It's a little torn, but it's still on here. Yeah, so, but the design is still very, it's timeless. Like, you, once again, you can make this figure at any point in the figure history, and it would look modern. It would look like it fits with the rest of the series. Very muscular legs, which thankfully do not meld in with his cape. And very well put together helmet. And yes, they even got his lightsaber color right. Yeah, they got it red. So now the Jedi guys can have a battle. Qui-Gon has not taught you anything. No wonder he died in the first movie. He sucked. Yep, so... Actually, I think I just enacted something from the Toy Story 4 movie, didn't I? There was a section where vintage Star Wars figures were having a lightsaber battle in the little pinball cabinet that had all the other toys, and they were doing a lightsaber battle in the very background. You have to know where to look, but something like that was going on. So I think I just copied a scene from that movie. Oh, great. I'm going to get sued. Wonderful. But you guys go sit over there and reconcile your differences. And if you turn each other to dust, I'm not going to clean that up. Sorry. Now, what would the evil Lord of the Universe be without his army of people who can't shoot straight? His army of clones. Are they always clones? Are they forever clones? Or did they stop doing the clones and they went into hired help and all that? I don't know. But here's a Stormtrooper. Again, very, very timeless design, except maybe for the molding lines. Yeah, molding and seam, not really good, not really well. And this is the bad guy gun. Yes, there are good guy guns, and then there are bad guy guns. So this is basically what all the bad guys had. We'll see a couple different designs, but this is the standard design. Looks like a Stormtrooper, even has that 011 thing on the back. Yeah, I don't really have anything to comment on. It's a Stormtrooper. It's the same design they've used since practically the beginning. So you go sit over there and have a theory named after you. A theory, a rule, a law. I think it was a law, the Stormtrooper law. The more Stormtroopers you have, the less chance they have of hitting the guy they're shooting at. Anyway, here's a snow trooper. I believe it's called a snow trooper. Yes, it's a snow trooper. And it has a different type of gun. Yes, very rare, but this is a sniper type of gun. I don't know how he uses it with one hand. I don't know why it's blue, but I do know that he still has his tablecloth cape, so that's wonderful. Instead of going on his back, it fits around. Yes, it fits around these little straps, so he can actually take it off. Let's see. No, they didn't mold an ass. Of course they didn't. Does it go back on? Yeah, it goes back on. Well, let's take it off again. All right, if you want Star Wars porn, then I was going to think of some. I was going to name something provocative from the show, but from the movies. But no, I can't think of anything really that sexy from the movies. I mean, Star Trek goes all out sexy, but the movies are quite conservative if you think about it. I don't know. You want Star Wars porn? Go to the internet. I'm sure there's plenty of that on there. Now the Stormtroopers are cool, but who's going to pilot his ships? These guys. At least I think they pilot the ships. Maybe they're just regular officers. But yes, this is an officer. This is a Death Squad officer from what I understand. And yeah, he's seen better days. Still, this figure broken compared to everyone else being intact. That's a good ratio. Once again, really good design, really timeless design. The legs, once again, kind of take up a good chunk of the uniform, but it's not that bad. The gloves are good. Gloves are good. He has the bad guy gun. He even has the little badge insignia. Can we get a better view? No, I don't think we can. And then the head is standard soldier head. I wouldn't be surprised if they just took this from another type of soldier figure and just put it on this guy. Actually, he looks like the dollar store military figures. What I showed back in the review of the Final Faction figures to compare them to. This looks like a generic military head that can just be applied to anything. And is probably still being used today, of course. And he has a very round helmet. And yet he is not played by Rick Moranis. So he can go over there and get his head on straight. Now, those are the helpers of Darth Vader, but what if he needs more help? What if he needs people to, I don't know, track down Han Solo or something? Well, then he would call on the galaxy's most feared bounty hunters, starting with, of course, Boba Fett. Yes, that character that's appeared a couple times and didn't really do much. He sold Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt, and then he got eaten, but everybody loves him, so they made comics about him, and they put him in The Mandalorian. Yes, he's in The Mandalorian, and he's played by the guy who played Jango Fett, and did the voice of Boba Fett in pretty much everything. So, yeah, that's attention to your own continuity. Not bad, not bad. I think this is a bit different than no, same gun. His colors are very muted compared to him in the movie. He's gray instead of green. Yeah, he has some camo. In this case, I can't tell what was worn off and what's still on there because it's camo. It's supposed to look splotchy. Has some color, some places. It's all just basically one gray blob with some paint somewhere. And he has his gun, and he even has a little rocket launcher, which I don't know if can the rocket come out? No, the rocket can't come out. It's either stuck in there or my uncle glued it in there. And then he has an uncolored visor. He's supposed to have a little antenna on the top of his helmet, isn't he? I don't know. I can't tell, but you can't even tell that that's a visor. You can't even tell that that's supposed to be his aiming system, which technically I didn't even know that was his aiming system until I saw it in The Mandalorian. Yeah, he has this little antenna on the top, and you'd think that it's just for communication, but no, in the show it goes zoop, doo, 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 doo. There you are. Oh, actually, it's the rockets on his back. Again, I didn't know that was a rocket. I thought that was a jetpack. The more you know from retcons. Yep, go sit over there and decide if you're Australian or not. As we go on to Greedo. Yeah, obviously they weren't given much to work with Greedo. I mean, the head looks great. Head looks Greedo-ish. The rest of the body doesn't. In fact, is he supposed to have some clothing on? He does not look like he has anything on. This looks like underwear, a one-piece underwear. I think he had some fabric, some gray fabric on in the movie, though I could be wrong. And interestingly, he doesn't have the bad guy gun, he has the good guy gun. But he is a bounty hunter, smuggler type of guy like Han Solo, so I guess they all go to the same store. I don't know, this guy has also gotten a little bit of popularity lately, even though he only had 3 lines and 2 minutes of screen time. In fact, let's be generous. Though he did appear in The Phantom Menace. There was a deleted scene of him as a little kid fighting with Anakin Skywalker, and the Jedi scared him off, and then one of his friends said something like, watch out, Greedo, you're gonna get yours one of these days. And he did, of course. They have a lot of deleted scenes on The Phantom Menace. I think they had enough for a 3 or 4 hour movie if they put everything they had in there. And of course, we don't need a 4-hour cut of The Phantom Menace. And go over there and think about how Han shot first. That's how it is. That's how it will forever be in my mind. But if Greedo and Boba Fett fail, then don't worry, you can always count on Bosk. I don't remember this guy. He was probably in the background when Darth Vader was saying, "Okay, bounty hunters, we got a Han Solo on the loose. Go shoot him or freeze him or whatever." And yeah, some kind of scaly alien monster with red eyes. Once again, very well molded head. Very good paint job, even if it's mostly yellow. Very scaly, very long arms. I mean, they reach past his kneecaps, if his species has kneecaps, and they don't wear shoes. You ever notice that most aliens and fantasy creatures don't wear shoes? Like their feet are just naturally protected from the elements? I don't know. I think even if I had weirdly shaped feet, I would still want some kind of protection, in case a starship crashes somewhere and there's broken glass everywhere. I think that even if you had the most scaly of feet, something like that is going to work its way between the scales and make your day a living hell. Anyway, he has a very awkwardly made gun. Yes, this is actually the gun he comes with. And once again, it's blue. I guess this was what they made for the figures, for the Empire Strikes Back figures. They decided that black was too normal, so they switched it to blue. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So sit next to Greedo and be glad that you didn't get shot. Or did you? No, I don't remember. But don't worry, you have backup. From a very scantily clad, I think this guy's name, he is known as Hammerhead, but I don't remember his proper name in the Star Wars universe. He's probably, it probably has a whole bunch of accent marks and to it. Anyway, he has the regular bad guy gun, which I had a figure of this when I was younger, and he was red, he was much more muscular, and he had this weird crossbow-like gun, from what I understand. Not the little gun, but once again, this is the 70s we're talking about, 70s, early 80s, where money on toys wasn't as profitable. I think it's the He-Man figures that started the new look at action figures, the more trying to make them big and detailed with a whole bunch of accessories, because back then they were basically just little dolls with little accessories for boys. That was basically the only difference between stuff. Actually, no, I take that back. These are the second generation action figures, basically, because back in the 60s, yeah, they were dolls. They were just kind of plushy doll-like things of Star Trek and such. But then they went into the plastic business as soon as that became more popular and made these smaller figures, and that's basically what we have today. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he does not look like he has anything on. I swear he had like a red robe or something, but once again, they probably weren't given that great a picture of what they needed to create for him, and they just went, yeah, he's a secondary character. Who's going to notice? Who's going to care? That gun just does not look right with this figure. Also, I don't remember those eyes. What are you looking at? Boom, boom, boom! Whatever. All right, we're done with the good guys and the bad guys, and now let's go on to the neutral guys with the Tuscan Raider, or Sand Person, whatever you want to call him. Sand Person just sounds racist, and in today's society, I'm sure even saying Sand Person will get me lynched by some politically correct Star Wars fan. I'm sure there are plenty of those. The robes are once again built right into the legs, so that looks absolutely ridiculous. I've seen an Emperor version of these that had the legs move along with the robes move along with the legs. I don't remember if it was part of this series or if it was a newer series. I don't remember. I don't even remember what happened to it. But yeah, so the head is a little more bulbous. Actually, are we sure Luke isn't under there? That was just what he looked like right after the car crash. Anyway, the head's a little more bulbous, but once again, very good design. The cape's quite good. I don't see any rips. On the back, nothing to write home about. Belt looks good. Once again, very timeless design. It looks like it could fit with figures today. And it has its little beating stabby stick, which I think the very end of is broken off, but I can't quite tell. Let's see. Can we do the thing? It can do the thing. I can't. And now, probably the most recent figure of the lineup, the Gamoran Guard for Jabba the Hutt. This came the latest out of all the characters here. This came. I think that these were only introduced in the last movie, whereas all these other characters were from the first two. And yeah. I had one of these when I was younger, and it looked almost exactly like this, except I do remember some black around the top, and I think the head was rubber. I don't remember. Kind of looked more pig-like. Definitely better job with the eye molding, but besides that, yeah, once again, timeless. Timeless. How many times have I said timeless in this video? Well, if we're talking about Star Wars, then, well, most things are timeless, except maybe, of course, the holiday special, that Clone Wars movie, the effects in Star Wars Episode 1, and, the diner in Episode 2. That was, And besides that, I think everything will last forever. Well, will be seen as modern. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But he does have his axe. He does have... This just looks like a little butcher knife. I'm pretty sure it was on more of a stick than just carried like this. These guys were in The Mandalorian. Apparently after Jawa blew up, the only place they could find work was in a wrestling ring where anything goes, and if one of the competitors wasn't performing the way that you wanted it, if one of the competitors was going to win, then you can just shoot it and the other guy would win. I don't know the rules to outer space wrestling. Who knows? Still, great. I had a Rancor at one point. Years and years and years ago, I actually found a Rancor. And now I wish I had it right now because, well, anyone who's seen Return of the Jedi knows exactly what the Rancor does to these guys. And finally, on our tour through vintage Star Wars figures, we have a Jawa, or a little sand person. Actually, I don't know why they just didn't keep the Tuscan Raiders and the Jawas the same species. Like, these could just be the kids or slaves or pets, or I don't know. But they are a integral part of the Star Wars Tatooine lore, so hey. Yeah, it has a robe over its robe. I don't know the story behind that. I don't know why, but it has a robe on top of the robe. Maybe there was just a little bit of confusion in the design process. Maybe one guy said, "Okay, this character is a hooded character with the robe," and one department said, "Okay, I'll make the robe," and the guy said, "No, wait, you don't have to." Oh, no, never mind. Let's just let him do his thing. He's Bob. He's special. We just we give him an A for effort anyway. And unfortunately, I don't have the actual weapon for this guy, but he does come with... I did find this gun, this extra gun, which obviously is not his. And he also has robe legs, which, compared to all the other figures here that also have the robes built into the legs, this just looks the most ridiculous. I mean, you've seen the Jawas. The Jawas walk like... Well, this just looks like... Thank you. We're here all week. Try the drinks. Tip your waiter. So yeah, you can go over there and steal the Mandalorian ship and let him kill half of you, and then completely forget that he killed half of you and give him his ship back after he gives you an egg. That was a very weird episode. I don't know what possessed them to write half of the Mandalorian, truth be told. I mean, it's okay, I guess, but whatever. And there you go. These are a bunch of vintage Star Wars figures. And these are the first I've ever seen most of these figures, and probably the last time I will ever. And whether you like the designs or not, a lot of these figures are worth a lot. Just a lot, especially with the weapons. This Luke guy is probably worth about $30 on his own, and then the Yoda guy's about 80, and everyone else is probably in between there. So I'm excited. I'd keep them, but I don't know what I'd do with them. So So there you go. This is just a look at how different the Star Wars figures were back then than they are now. Though in a lot of cases, like I say, they're quite similar to what we have now. So some designs you just can't change. Insert special edition joke here. Well, I guess I've done all the damage I can here, so good night, goodbye, and may the force of others be with you all. Check out the comic adaptation for the first draft of these Star Wars movies. That'll make a lot more sense.